The runway reckoning. In the humid, asphalt-scorched air of a Miami private airstrip, a moment of humiliation would birth a reckoning. The kind of reckoning that didn't arrive with fists or fury, but with silence, stature, and power wrapped in understatement. No entourage. No fanfare. Just a man and a briefcase. Jeremiah Langston, 45, stood at the edge of the runway with the sun dipping low behind him, making silhouettes of the Gulf Streams and bombardiers that gleamed like chrome sentinels. His suit, charcoal with a quiet confidence, bore the wrinkles of a day too long. His shoes, softened with wear. His breath, even. His eyes, focused on the aircraft just yards away, his aircraft. The name Langston shimmered in small, brushed metal letters near the tail. But the man in the cockpit didn't care to read. Captain Russell Dane, a veteran with salt in his hair and disdain in his voice, leaned out the cockpit window of Jeremiah's jet and shouted across the tarmac like he owned it. "Hey, you, get the hell out of here. This ain't your ride. Beat it before I have you thrown out." Jeremiah didn't react. Not at first. He simply walked closer, slow, deliberate steps carrying the weight of everything he'd built from nothing. He wasn't just a passenger. He was the owner of this Gulfstream G700, the architect of a $600 million tech acquisition that had finalized that very morning. And yet, here he was, being mistaken, no, dismissed as a trespasser. Again. "I need to board," he said calmly. Russell barked a laugh. "Board? Who the hell do you think you are? Scram, bum." The insult landed like an elbow to the ribs. The kind of insult Jeremiah had learned to endure, not because he was weak, but because he was waiting for the right moment to remind the world exactly who he was. "Check the manifest," he said quietly. Russell spat to the side. "There's no Jeremiah Langston on any list I've got. What are you, someone's driver? You better back away from this jet before security gets a look at you." The heat shimmered across the tarmac. A couple of maintenance workers paused nearby. One leaned against a refueling cart. The other let his wrench dangle. Joey, an airstrip employee barely out of his teens, smirked and pulled out his phone, whispering, "Oh, this is gonna be good." Jeremiah sighed. Not in frustration, but in resolve. "You're making a mistake," he said, softly but clearly. Russell stepped out of the cockpit, his boots striking the concrete like declarations. Aviators glinting. Uniform crisp. Confidence curdled into cruelty. "My supervisor," he sneered. "You think you can tell me what to do, you punk? You think you're somebody walking around with your thrift store briefcase, acting like you belong here?" Joey laughed louder. "Yo, this guy for real?" Jeremiah stayed calm. He always had. "I'll give you one more chance. Check with the tower. Ask for Jeremiah Langston." Russell raised his radio and spat venom. "Tower, I've got an intruder on the G700. Call security. Now." The radio crackled back. "Copy that. Dispatching now." Jeremiah didn't move. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A single vibration, right on time. He picked it up and dialed. "Simone," he said, voice unwavering. "I'm on the tarmac. The pilot's refusing me entry. Handle it." Simone, his chief of staff, didn't miss a beat. "It's handled. Don't move." The call ended. The silence deepened. Russell paced like a showman, gesturing to the jet. "This is what happens when you pretend to be rich, clown. I've flown real billionaires, not fakes in discount suits." Jeremiah remained still. Joey kept filming, narrating like it was a comedy skit. "Check this out. Dude's about to be cuffed. This'll blow up on TikTok." Then the radio barked again. "Captain Dane, check the manifest immediately. There may have been an oversight. Passenger Langston has confirmed clearance." The color drained from Russell's face. Jeremiah took one step closer. "Now you know. This is my jet. And you? You work for me." The insult that had rung so loud minutes earlier now echoed back at Russell with the force of a sledgehammer. He scrambled, stammering. "Sir, there was a mix-up. I didn't know." Jeremiah raised a single finger, silencing him. "You assumed," he said coldly. "You judged. You insulted me. That mistake just cost you everything." Joey froze. The maintenance workers backed off. A woman in a blazer sprinted onto the runway, her voice shaking. "Mr. Langston, we are so sorry. This is beyond unacceptable." Jeremiah didn't even look at her. "Fix it. He's off the flight. Permanently. Replacement pilot en route." Jeremiah retrieved his briefcase and walked up the jet stairs, never once looking back at the man who had just called him garbage. Inside the cabin, the standby pilot, Carla, was waiting. Respectful. Composed. Professional. As Jeremiah settled into his seat, security escorted Russell away. His radio crackled, but there were no more commands. Just a man whose career had collapsed beneath the weight of his arrogance. The fallout was swift. Russell was terminated before the wheels even left the ground. His license under review. The aviation firm's CEO, Richard Halvorson, called within hours, stammering apologies. Jeremiah didn't accept them. He wanted change, not pity. By the time the jet landed in New York, the corporate aftershocks had already begun. Richard showed up in Langston's Manhattan office the next morning, disheveled, desperate, pledging reforms. "You've got 60 days, Jeremiah said, voice cold as glass. "Rewrite your hiring standards, your training, or we're done." The CEO nodded, knowing the cost would be monumental. But Jeremiah wasn't finished. That night, he and Simone drafted a new initiative, a $5 million program to fund tech academies for underrepresented youth. Scholarships, mentorship, direct career pipelines. The first class? Taught by Jeremiah himself. "If they're going to judge us at first glance," he told Simone, "then we'll make sure they regret ever looking away." News of the tarmac incident didn't need to go viral. It didn't need hashtags or outrage. It spread where it mattered, through every boardroom, every cockpit, every executive suite. Jeremiah Langston wasn't a story. He was a warning. The aviation firm overhauled its onboarding and diversity protocols. Russell Dane disappeared from the skies, reduced to ferrying cargo in obscurity. Joey was demoted, his phone confiscated mid-shift. And every employee who'd smirked that day learned a lesson about assumptions. 2 weeks later, Jeremiah returned to Miami. Different airstrip. Different staff. Carla met him at the stairs, clipboard in hand. "Good to see you again, Mr. Langston." "Jet's ready." He stepped aboard. The cabin smelled of sandalwood and leather. His name embroidered on the headrest. But what made the flight different wasn't luxury, it was dignity. As the jet lifted off, he stared out at the city below, its lights like veins pulsing in the darkness. He thought about Harlem. The cracked laptop. The rejection letters. The dismissals. And the moment on the runway when he didn't raise his voice, but made the whole world listen. His phone buzzed. "Simone. Boot camps launched. 200 applicants." He replied. "Double it." Then he leaned back, eyes closing as the hum of the engines became his anthem. Not just of flight, but of triumph. For every person told they weren't enough. For every kid judged before being heard. For every moment someone like Russell Dane laughed too soon. This wasn't revenge. This was revolution.